In my opinion, the Los Angeles Clippers are one of the most interesting teams in league history. For decades, they've been overshadowed by the flamboyant and exciting dynasties the Lakers have displayed throughout their history, but in the background, the Clippers were making moves of their own. Sure, not all of them were successful, but this team goes practically forgotten in NBA history. But what if I told you that before they were even known as the Clippers, this team built potentially one of the greatest teams ever, only to tear it all down pretty much immediately? This is how they did it. Before they were known as the Clippers, however, the team started off in Buffalo, New York, with a completely different name and identity. The Buffalo Braves were one of three expansion teams, the two other being the Cleveland Cavaliers and Portland Trail Blazers, to join the NBA in 1970. And instantly, they sucked. In their first 3 years, the team never won more than 22 games. That being said, they were doing a lot right also. In the 1971 NBA draft, Buffalo selected Randy Smith 104th overall, a selection that would go down in NBA history as one of the biggest steals ever. Smith would play 9 seasons with the franchise and make 2 All-Star appearances for Buffalo. That same draft, they would snag Elmore Smith 3rd overall, a guy who would go on to swat a record-breaking 17 shots in one singular game in 1973. Before achieving this historic feat, however, he would kick off his career with a rookie stat line of 17 points and 15 rebounds. Definitely not a bad start to a young budding career. And as if things couldn't get any better, Buffalo would also trade for Bob Kaufman and Walt Hazzard that same year, 2 guys who offered great scoring punches for the team. Kaufman would average around 20 points and 10 rebounds for the Braves for 3 consecutive seasons, and would additionally record 7 triple-doubles over that time. Meanwhile, Hazzard offered 16 points a night his first year with the team. Coming into the 1972 season, Buffalo was looking pretty stacked, but all the talent on the roster simply wasn't meshing. The team only won 21 games and missed the playoffs for the 3rd consecutive year. However, all of that would change when in the 1973 draft, they got their hands on Bob McAdoo. McAdoo would win Rookie of the Year his first year, putting up a stat line of 18 points and 9 rebounds. Still, the team somehow couldn't win games. After a rough start to the season, they waived Walt Hazzard, a very questionable move to say the least. They also traded away Elmore Smith to the Lakers in exchange for Jim McMillan, as the trio of Smith, Kaufman, and McAdoo simply wasn't a good fit or good enough to win all that many games. Boasting a core of McAdoo, Randy Smith, Kaufman, and McMillan still got the team only 21 wins, a record identical to their record the prior year. For their poor regular season performance, the team was awarded the 3rd pick of the 1974 NBA draft, and they put it to good use when they drafted Ernie DiGregorio, a flashy pass-first point guard who would put up 15 points and a league-best 8 assists for the team en route to winning Rookie of the Year honors, giving Buffalo back-to-back Rookie of the Year recipients. More importantly, however, was the fact that the duo of Bob McAdoo and Randy Smith was really coming into their own. McAdoo established himself as an all-time talent, leading the league in scoring with 30 points a game, and also added 15 rebounds to complement the insane scoring numbers. Meanwhile, Smith was becoming one of the most feared thieves in the league, coming just short of averaging 3 steals a game alongside his stat line of 15 points and 5 assists. The team also added Gar Heard to the roster to replace the declining Bob Kaufman. Heard was a reliable starting forward that got the team around 12 more boards a night. And with all that, the team improved by 21 wins, winning 42 games in that season and reaching the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. For the following 2 years, the team experienced very similar success, even winning 49 games in the 1974 through 75 season. That year, McAdoo was also named the NBA MVP, and Randy Smith was an all-star caliber talent. Unfortunately, all this success was short-lived, and after 3 consecutive playoff appearances and just 1 playoff series victory, Buffalo found themselves back at square one. Coming off a year in 1976 where they had attained the 5th seed and upset the Philadelphia 76ers in 3 games in the playoffs, back when 2 wins was all the team needed to win the first round, the team fell all the way back down to the 10th seed. Bob Kaufman, one of their most important and impactful players, was completely out of the league at this point, and Gar Heard had been shipped off to Phoenix halfway through the 76 season. DiGregorio had proven to be a one-year wonder, and couldn't do much of anything just 4 years deep into his career. McAdoo and Smith, however, were the 2 guys still going strong, with Smith making his first All-Star game in 1976 and McAdoo continuing to put up inhuman numbers on a nightly basis. Regardless, it wasn't enough, and the team lost 16 more games in 1977 than they did the prior season. However, that being said, it wasn't all bad. The team struck gold in the 1977 draft, attaining their third Rookie of the Year talent in 5 years in Adrian Dantley, who they had selected 6th overall. Adrian Dantley is a name that every NBA fan should at least know of, but very few people actually remember him in a Braves jersey. This is because of the fact that after just one season with the team, Buffalo said goodbye to Dantley when they traded him to Indiana for Billy Knight. Knight was a good player and once was even an All-Star, but was a very awkward fit alongside Randy Smith, who played around the same position. Dantley, meanwhile, would average 36 and 4 for a 7-year time span in the 80s, making 6 All-Star teams and eventually becoming a Hall of Famer. This trade did not age well for the Braves, but at least they still had McAdoo, right? MVP, franchise cornerstone, Hall of Famer Bob McAdoo, right? Wrong. In typical Braves fashion, the team willingly shipped off an all-time talent for next to nothing, trading him to the Knicks for John Gianelli and cash halfway through that awful 1977 season. This has to be one of the worst trades I've ever heard of in my life. It baffles me how the Braves ever thought that trading a guy who was averaging 24 and 14 that year and was coming off of 3 straight 30-point per game seasons for a dude who only managed to average 11 points and 9 rebounds in 30 plus minutes for a very mediocre Knicks team was at all a logical deal. And this trade pretty much doomed the franchise. The 1978 season was supposed to be one where a big three of McAdoo, Smith, and Dantley came to fruition and put the team on the map, but instead, the team just won 27 games, and only 1/3 of their trio was even still there on the team. Smith carried hard this year, playing 40 minutes a night and putting up 25 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals a game. He also was the MVP of that year's All-Star game, which is just about the only thing Buffalo could be happy about that season. Billy Knight was solid, putting up 22 a night, and big man Swen Nader showed a lot of promise as well, but still, the team really sucked. Oh, and where was John Gianelli in all this? He was in Milwaukee with the Bucks, because Buffalo made the genius decision to trade him there in the offseason for a first-round pick that they would eventually use on a player that would never play for their team, essentially meaning that they traded arguably their greatest player in franchise history, still to this day, for 57 games of the great John Gianelli, who put up a whopping stat line of 7 points and 5 rebounds during his short stint with the team. Anyways, let's now slander somebody else. In 1976, businessman John Y. Brown Jr. purchased the Braves, and their downfall from a promising young team into an absolute mess was primarily spearheaded by this man. After stating, quote, "Basketball was not the kind of business I want to be involved in," Brown still decided to put $3 million of his own money down on the Braves franchise shortly after. In 1978, in the span of 4 hours, Brown pulled off both the horrific Dantley trade and also acquired Nate Tiny Archibald in the separate one. That's right, the Tiny Archibald. Archibald was coming off of a season where he had averaged 20 points and 7 assists, but tore his Achilles before the following season had begun, which had forced him to miss the whole year. Now, instead of waiting on the generational talent to heal, Brown did what he always did when he got his hands on an all-time great: traded him for next to nothing. The trade went as follows. The Celtics got themselves Archibald, Billy Knight, and former All-Star Marvin Barnes, alongside a pick that would become Danny Ainge. In exchange, the Braves got Sidney Wicks, Kermit Washington, and Kevin Cooner. If you've never heard of any of these 3 players that Buffalo received in this deal, I don't blame you. They're not notable names at all. Washington is perhaps the only player out of this bunch that has any sort of lasting basketball legacy, and that's simply for punching the life out of Rudy Tomjanovich a few years prior. Wicks was also a solid player as well, but was well past his prime and would be out of the league after 3 very underwhelming years with the Braves. After pulling this off, John Brown actually got rewarded for his stupidity, managing to swap franchise with friend and fellow owner Irv Levin, who handed Brown the keys to the Boston Celtics, while Levin received the terrible Braves roster Brown had created. Levin, a California native, only signed this deal with intentions to move the team to his hometown, which he did successfully after the 1978 season. With the move to San Diego and a name change from the Braves to the Clippers, the Buffalo Braves were officially over. No longer did they exist. In the span of 8 years, Buffalo drafted a Hall of Famer and MVP in Bob McAdoo, an elite all-time shot blocker in Elmore Smith, a Rookie of the Year award recipient and NBA assist champ in Ernie DiGregorio, a 6-time All-Star and 2-time scoring champ in Adrian Dantley, and the 2-time All-Star, All-NBA team member, an all-time great draft steal in Randy Smith. The team also stacked up with great core players like Bob Kaufman, Walt Hazzard, and Nate McMillan, and, oh yeah, acquired Moses Malone in 1977. That was something I forgot to mention earlier, but Moses freaking Malone was also on this team for a very brief period of time. But for a little while, Buffalo had a core consisting of Bob McAdoo, Adrian Dantley, Randy Smith, and Moses Malone. Simply put, it's insane that a team this consistently good year after year after year only made the playoffs 3 times out of their 8 opportunities. Instead, the only one of these 4 guys the team decided to keep long-term was Randy Smith, the one who was by far the weakest talent and the only one not to make the Hall of Fame as of right now. This team was so close to forming a dynasty, but instead traded it away for half a season of John Gianelli, half a season of Billy Knight, an aging Sidney Wicks, and the dude only remembered for punching someone. Yikes. And with that, we conclude today's video. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe, or I guess, I don't know. Oh no, man, I'm new to all this. This is my first video, and it only was probably like 10 minutes or so. I don't know how long it is, but the first video is always going to take some time. It's always going to take a while. I gotta learn how to edit, how to start things up. Hopefully I can get into the groove of things pretty soon. Make content weekly. That'd be nice, but this video took a while, so really, the channel's so small at this point. Any contributions would be so greatly appreciated. I heard somewhere that you can't give them the option to like and subscribe. You have to demand, and that's much more effective. So it's not your choice. You have to subscribe. So thank you. Bye. Edit at the end, post, I'll put it, I don't know. Clippers just blew a 3-1 lead. That's I don't have anything creative to say about it that no one else has said, but Jesus, man.